Hello everyone and thank you for joining us today. Today with the US presidential election just around the corner on November 5, we're talking about the two top candidates, former President Donald Trump and current Vice President Kamala Harris. So with me today is Forex analyst Emre Çayır. Welcome Emre.
Thank you, it's great to be here. What an important election for the financial market, isn't it?
Absolutely, one of the closest elections in recent history, according to the latest polls and betting markets. Interestingly, they're giving Trump a bit of an edge right now, which is sparking quite a bit of market speculation and some expected volatility. Let's break down what investors and market might expect depending on who wins. Let's start with Trump.
Sure, historically, he has been viewed as quite market-friendly, particularly because of his low tax policy and a general supportive stance on business growth. If Trump wins, we are likely looking at some significant market changes, especially right after the election.
Right, let's dig into specific outcomes we might see. First off, what do you think could happen to the US dollar?
Well, if Trump wins, we might actually see a weaker dollar at first, even though he's considered pro-business. Trump's stance on trade deficits and past supports for a weaker dollar could lead to some currency devaluation. This would make US exports more appealing, but imports more expensive, which adds complexity to currency markets.
And with the weaker dollar, what about precious metals?
Precious metals like gold and silver typically rally when the dollar drops. Political tension adds to their appeal as safe haven assets. And a Trump victory could certainly spark demand in these areas, especially if there is investor caution over his potential economic policies.
Interesting. Now, Trump's pro-business policies are well known, so I imagine certain sectors might see an improvement.
Definitely, sectors like defense, energy, and financials would likely benefit if Trump brings back tax cuts or continues with the regulation. Infrastructure stocks could also get a boost, particularly if he revisits his focus on large-scale infrastructure projects.
So we could see stock surges in specific areas. How about interest rates?
If Trump pressures the Federal Reserve for rate cuts or stability, it could help sectors like housing and consumer spending. Lower rates encourage borrowing and spending, which might lift the economy in short term, but could also raise inflation over time.
So do you think his America First policies would bring back any trade tensions?
It is possible. If Trump revives tariffs on trade restriction, we could see volatility in areas like technology and manufacturing, sectors heavily dependent on international trade.
And volatility can drive up the VIX, right?
Exactly. Election-related policy changes often increase the VIX or fear index, which measure market uncertainty. Options and hedging might become more popular as traders prepare for potential swings.
So last thing on Trump, cryptocurrency. Where do you see that heading?
If we see dollar weakness and general market volatility, it could benefit cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Many investors view it as a diversification option when traditional market seems unstable.
Great insights. Now let's talk about Kamala Harris. What are we expecting if she wins?
If Harris wins, the dollar could strengthen on expectations of more predictable policies and stable trade alliances. Her administration would likely focus on rebuilding trade relationships, which could drive confidence in the dollar.
Stability seems to be a theme here. How about green energy and technology stocks?
Harris has been vocal about supporting renewable energy, so companies in solar, wind, and electric vehicles could benefit from her policies. On the other hand, fossil fuel stocks might take a hit under her cleaner energy agenda.
What about corporate taxes? There's been talk of her rolling back the 2017 tax cuts.
Exactly. If corporate taxes rise, certain sectors like tech and finance, which benefit from lower tax rates, might experience slower growth. Investors might start to favor similar companies less impacted by tax hikes, causing a potential market shift.
And with increased spending on social and green initiatives, what's your take on Treasury yields?
Treasury yields could rise because of inflationary expectations tied to higher government spending. Market might expect Fed rate hikes to control inflation, which would raise borrowing costs.
Harris's potential healthcare reforms might affect specific sectors too, right?
Absolutely. Pharmaceutical and healthcare stocks could see some volatility if there are changes in pricing or regulations, especially for the companies tied to government programs. Preventive and primary care focused companies might actually benefit.
And like we saw with Trump, any thoughts on cryptocurrencies under Harris?
If inflation expectations are high, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies could attract interest as hedges. But Harris's administration also imposed more regulatory oversight on crypto, which could balance out its appeal.
Okay, so lastly, if Harris strengthens trade relations, do you think that will impact global markets?
Definitely, reaffirmed trade ties could boost foreign currencies and stabilize international markets, making things easier for multinational companies operating in multiple regions.
Great breakdown, Emre. One more area to discuss: defense spending.
Right, Harris might reduce traditional defense spending, which could impact companies in that sector. However, cybersecurity stocks could gain if the focus shifts toward digital security.
So, whether it's Trump or Harris, the outcome is set to shape economic trends in unique ways. As we've discussed, each candidate brings different implications for the markets.
Exactly. The reactions across sectors could be significant depending on who takes the office. This election's outcome will be felt on both a local and global scale.
Well, Emre, thanks for breaking it all down with us. This has been incredibly insightful.
Thank you, it was great to be here.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in with us. As November 5 approaches, keep informed and remember, understanding the trends today helps you prepare for tomorrow's opportunity. See you next time.